Hello guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time of seeing my channel, thank you for stopping by. Please ensure to subscribe to our channel. So in this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful asymmetric bustier corset blouse. And if this tutorial is one which you are interested in, please join me while we get started. Okay, so on your pattern paper, we are going to make sure you fold it in two, okay? And then draw a straight line at the top, which is going to be your starting line or your shoulder line. You mark your shoulder to bust measurement, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waist. Okay, so I'm working with 9.5 inches for shoulder to bust, 13 inches shoulder to under bust, and 16 inches for shoulder to waist. So after marking it, I'm just going to draw a straight line across it. Then from the waist measurement, I'm going to go down by 8 inches. That will be my hip measurement. Okay, that will be my hip measurement. Then after marking the 8 inches, I'm going to draw a straight line as well. So after marking it and drawing the straight line, I'm going to go ahead and label them: bust measurement, bust line, under bust, waistline, and full length. Then from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 7 inches, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Then I'm going to mark the neck width of 3 inches, and I'm going to connect the 1 inch below the shoulder point to the 3 inches for my shoulder slope. Then I'm going to connect my armhole measurement from that shoulder slope, which is 7 inches. And to get the armhole measurement, I'm going to use my bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. That's 7 inches. So 7 inches below that 1 inch under the shoulder measurement is going to be my chest line. So I went ahead to draw a straight line and I labeled the chest line. So for the armhole, I took the midpoint from the armhole depth and I came in by 0.5. Then I measured my bust measurement divided by 4 and marked it on my chest line. Then I connected these 3 points together like so. So if you're watching my tutorials, you will see me do this often. So now I took my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Mine is 7 inches, divided by 2 is 3.5, and I marked it on the bust line, under bust line, waistline, and the full length. Then I drew a straight line. So now I'm going to take a dart intake of 1 inch on both sides on the under bust. So because I'm going to be having a slanted dart, I'm going to come to the full length, and from that nipple to nipple measurement I marked, I'm going to come in by 2 inches. Then I'm going to connect the first 1 inch closer to the center front to meet the 2 inches I marked, and then the 1 inch towards the side front to meet the nipple to nipple line that I marked there, just like I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to connect them together. This is because the style has a slanted dart, not a straight dart. Okay, so now I'm going to connect this with my cuff to meet the bust line after coming down by 0.75 inches from that bust line. Okay, so at this point I'm just going to mark it like this to indicate that this part is going to be taken off. So now I'm going to impute the body measurement, taking the under bust measurement divided by 4, adding the 2 inches dart allowance and 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll do the same thing for the waist. Put the waist measurement divided by 2. So for the waist, I'm actually taking off 2 inches from my actual waist. The actual waist is 26 and I'm using 24 divided by 4. Then I added the 2 inches dart and 1 inch allowance. Then for the full length, I used my hip measurement divided by 4. I added the 2 inches for the dart and 1 inch for seam allowance. Then for the bust measurement, I only add 1 inch for the allowance because there is no dart at that point. That is from the chest line. I added 1 inch there. So after doing that, I'm going to connect them together like so. So now I'll be taking my bust dart. Shoulder to waist and front is 16 inches and shoulder to waist for the back is 14.5. The difference is 1.5. So I'm going to come to the bust line. I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches and I'm going to connect it to the nipple to nipple line. Then I'm going to indicate it that is going to be taken off because it's a dart. So then I'm going to come up from the chest line by 1.5 inches and I'm going to draw a straight line. This is for my overbust line, for me to be able to draft the cup. So if you notice that in this style there is a cup, a separate cup that is used for the bustier, because the asymmetric style cuts across the bust and that cup is meant to show at that point. So if you look at my previous tutorial, I did a detailed tutorial on how to draft a custom made bra cup. I'll leave the link in my description so you can check it out. So you can either make this separately or you make it on the pattern paper. So I'm going to be doing everything here. So how I did this is that I came from the center front, from the bust line I came down by 0.5 and came up by 0.5. So the 0.5 I came down with, I connected it to meet the under bust, and for the side front I closed the bust dart. Then from the nipple to nipple measurement I marked 3.5 inches, then added 0.5. Then I closed the bust dart, and at that point I marked it with a curve to meet the under bust. Then I came up from that bust line from the side front by 0.5. I'll extend the line to meet the over bust line above the chest line. So coming to the center front, I'm going to come down from the over bust line by 1 inch, and then I'm going to come in by 0.25. So I'm going to connect that 0.25 to meet with the 0.5 inch that intake I took up from the bust line. Then I'm going to connect this with a curve. So this curve is going to be in form of a circle, and this is because of the style, the blouse style. Okay, so it's not going to be like our normal cup, which is supposed to have a straight or a little bit slanted line at the top. Is going to be like a circle at the top, and that is because of the style. So I'm just going to use my hand to do a freehand circle, and I'm going to use my marker to make this visible. So at this point you've gotten the cup. You can actually do this separately using the tutorial in my description, or you can actually draft it on your pattern, but I want to do everything here. So at this point I'm just going to go ahead and label it and then open the paper. So I'm going to transfer the measurements for the side to the other side, which I've already done. So after transferring everything to the other side, so I'm going to create the asymmetric design at the top. Okay, so on one side of the pattern I came up from the chest line by 4 inches, and I'm trying to connect this curve to cut across the bust area, which is, as the style is, to cut across the bust area to enable it have a little bit of asymmetric design there, and also to give it this part that is revealing where the cup is going to be visible and covering. So I'm going to connect that cup with my free hand to meet the armhole, and after doing this I'll just use my marker to make it very visible. Okay, so at that part where I have the overbust extended, I was actually trying to make it a little bit higher, but then I realized it was not needed. But if you want it to be higher, you can actually do that. So now we move to the lower part of this dress, which have an asymmetric design. So from the side, one side of the dress, I came up by 1 inch, and then from the part where I have my dart, I came in by 2.5. From that 2.5, I came down by 4 inches. Then from the side, I marked 4.5, and I'm trying to connect these points together. The point where I marked 1 inch above from the side to meet the 4.5 below, and to also come down to meet that 4 inches I marked below the hemline. Okay, so I really hope you understand what I'm doing, but just follow what I'm doing and you will get it right. So I used my free hand to create this curve, and I went ahead to smoothen it well. So then from the dart intake from one side of the dress, I came in by 2.5 inches. Then from that point I make sure that I have 3.5 inches to the hemline. 3.5 inches to the hemline. From that 2.5 inches I came from the inside. Then I connected that point to meet the 4 inches below the hemline with a slight curve. So at this point I'm going to connect it with a curve at the other part of the dart. So I came up with a slight curve like this. I'm trying to use my free hand to ensure that this curve is very smooth. So this is me cleaning every errors and trying to arrange it properly. So for me to connect it to the other part, that is the center front of the dress, I have to close that properly to be able to get the exact part where the lines are ending, so I can continue marking from that point. So this is me using my free hand to also create that curve like this. Just follow what I'm doing and you will get it right. So after creating the curve like that, I'm done with that side, so I can open it back. Then from the other side of the dart, I'm going to close it as well to be able to get the exact lines where the dart is ending, so I can continue from that point. So at this point, after placing it properly and securing it with my tape to ensure it's accurate. I'll come towards the side of the other part and I'm going to come up by 1 inch, just like I did for the previous side. Then I'm going to connect this curve to meet each other at the hemline, just like this. So if you follow it very well, you see what I'm doing. After connecting it like this, I'm using my free hand to ensure that the curves actually have a curvy shape instead of a sharp edge. So at this point, I'm done creating the shape for the asymmetric design for the blouse. So I'm just using my marker to trace them out for you to be very visible for you to see. So if you follow this tutorial very well, you will get it right. So at this point, we are done with this tutorial. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so to get my cups, since I'm using the same pattern for the both of them, I just place another pattern paper at the back and use my tracing wheel to trace the part where I'll be kneading on it. So I just went ahead to do this. You can actually do this separately by creating the cup separately, or you can do this on the same pattern, whichever one works fine. So after tracing it out, I just went ahead to use my marker to draw it out so that I can actually cut it well. So if you do this, you actually get it right. You can also do it separately. Whichever way you do it is fine. So after tracing it out, I just went ahead to cut it out and label it. Okay, so at this point, if you find this tutorial very helpful, please give us a thumbs up and always leave your question in the comment section. We are ready to answer your question at any time. So if this is your first time seeing our channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can always get notified each time we upload new videos. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and cut the front pattern as well, so you have to carefully watch me do this. So while cutting, I realized I haven't put the shoulder dart, which I'm supposed to do from this point. So I divided the shoulder into 2 equal parts and I connected it to meet the nipple to nipple line. So I'm just going to come to the overbust area where I drew the asymmetric design, and I'm going to take 0.25 inches on both sides and connect it like this. So for me to get that actual line, I'm just going to close the little dart there and redraw it again. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and cut it, taking away the dart from that part of it. Then I'm going to cut the other parts of the pattern. So watch me carefully to ensure you don't cut out the wrong place or the actual place. Just watch me carefully so you cut it accurately. Okay, so this is me closing the side that is the bust dart from one part of the dress. Then I also go ahead and cut the other part. So I realized that I did not fix the bust dart for the other part of the dress when I was transferring the measurement from the first side to the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So the side that is 1.5, like I explained before, and I'm just going to mark it below the bust line and connect it like so. Then after doing this, I'm going to close it up and secure it in my tape. Okay, so after securing it, I realized I didn't remove the entire dart for the center front, so I am going to actually do that. So after doing that, this is all I have. I went ahead to label it side front 1, center front, side front 2, and then I'm going to go to the back pattern. Okay, following exactly what I did for the front patterns, I marked the shoulder to bust, shoulder to waist, and shoulder to full length. I also created my shoulder slope and marked my armhole. So the difference here is that we're not using underbust, and the shoulder to waist here is 14.5. The shoulder to waist to the front is 16 inches. So my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 is what I marked on the chest line from the the center back. I marked it from the chest line, the bust line, the waistline, and the full length, and I went ahead to connect it with a straight line. So now creating my dart, I came to the waistline and I marked 0.75 on both sides, and I came down below the chest line and connect them to meet that point, and came down below the waistline by 4 inches and also connected those two 0.75 points I mark on both sides to meet. So at this point, I'm adding my body measurement, waist measurement divided by 4, adding the 1.5 inches for that and 1 inches for seam allowance. I added the 1 inches also for the bust allowance, for the seam allowance rather. that is for the bust area. And then for the full length, I added the hip measurement divided by 4, adding 1 inches for seam allowance. Then I connected them together. So from the center back, I came from the chest line below it by 0.5 and connected it to meet the armhole. So I came from the hem area towards the side back. I came down from the waist by 4 inches, and towards the center back, I came down from the waist by 5 inches, and I connected these lines together with a slight curve. So now I came in from the center back by 1.5 inches from the chest line. I also marked it on the waistline, and towards the hem area I marked 1 inches because I wanted it to have a little bit of this slant design at the back. So after that, I connected it with a straight line and marked some tiny holes around there, which is to indicate the lacing area where I'll be having my eyelet. So after that, I went ahead to cut it out. So after cutting it out, I cut open the dart area as well. Okay, so while cutting, I realized I didn't draw my straight line to meet the chest line. So I marked the 1.5 inches there and I connected it like so. So after that, I went ahead to cut it out, removing the 1.5 inches I marked from that side, which is supposed to be the opening for the corset at the back. So you can actually use 2 inches, 2.5, depending on how open you want it to be at the back. So now for this back, this is what I'm going to be using, but you can actually impute another dart at the side, just to snatch it well. But I'm already reduced my waist by 2 inches, so I don't need to snatch it. So if you are going to do this, you just divide the waist measurement by 2. I mean what you have at that area from the waistline by 2, then take 0.5 on both sides and connect it to the top, also connect it to the down. So that's it, but this is what I'll be using for now. So at this point, I'm done with the tutorial, the drafting of the tutorial for the front pattern, the back pattern, and also for the cup we'll be using. If you find this tutorial very helpful, please ensure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.